Yeah, welcome to those that are joining us. Feel free to say hello in the chat as we are just about to get started in a moment. In terms of the question about the CWC credit, I know that there are certain categories with career education that can absolutely be tracked. So with that being said, I'm not exactly sure which categories are under career education, but I do believe that attending job search and resume related workshops should be able to be tracked. So I'm pretty sure you can do that. Laura, do you have any further comments on that?
I am not sure, to be honest. I'll defer to you on that one, Brianna.
Okay. I'm pretty sure you can. I know there are career education areas that can be tracked with certain job searching topics. So if you want to follow up via email with me afterwards, I will put my contact information in the chat.
I see some people are still coming in. Do you want to wait, Brianna, or should we maybe get started, start the introductions, and then people can filter in just to honor our time?
For sure. We can start some introductions and then people can continue kind of joining while we're doing that.
Great. Well, I'll kick it off then. Welcome, everybody. My name is Terry Cockerline. I'm the Director of Alumni Relations at Brock. Proud Brock grad myself, and very happy to be here. Also, someone who started a job in the midst of a pandemic that was preceded by a bit of a search. So eager to hear some tips just in case things don't go well. But before we get started today, I do want to start with the land acknowledgement. Of course, we're all in various places across the country and mostly from the province of Ontario, I think. But would like to start with the land acknowledgement for Brock University, and that is, so we just begin by acknowledging that the land which Brock stands on is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to work and live here today. The territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, this gathering place is home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people, and acknowledging this reminds us that our great standard of living is directly related to the resources and friendship of Indigenous people. And sorry for having to read that. It was important to me that I get it right. And from that, we'll launch in. See a bunch of people here today, and maybe you could share in the chat where you're from, and if you're a student, we have a mix of students and alumni. I'm very interested in hearing. Maybe we can figure out who is furthest away. So if you're really far away, we definitely want to know that. But regardless, welcome to you all, and we're really excited to have with us today Brianna and Laura from Career Education and Co-op. I will leave it to the two of you maybe to do some self-introductions and maybe turn it over. There'll be questions at the end, and I'm supposed to say at the top that we are recording this, so if you're not interested in being on camera, please be aware that we're recording and you can keep your camera off. And we will monitor where people are from as Brianna and Laura, as you're introducing yourselves. So over to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So maybe I will start. My name is Brianna Armstrong. I am a Brock grad as of 2016 from the Psychology and Behavioral Science program. I am currently the Student Talent Development Specialist in Career Education. So essentially what that means is I have the privilege of meeting with students and alumni to focus on things like their job search, like their resume and cover letter, to really help you figure out, your career journey and your career path and those big decisions as it relates to, your degree and your future career goals. So anyways, I look forward to, talking about this topic that has really kind of been a hot topic in terms of my appointments with students lately. So I'll pass it over to Laura quickly.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Fife, and I am the Skills Translation Coordinator in the Department of Co-op, Career, and Experiential Education. And my role is to find some interesting and effective ways to help students understand the skills that they're developing as university students and translating those skills into concrete steps they can take along their career journey, which is why I'm delighted to be here today to talk about your skills, your competencies, and what your next steps are as far as your career goes. So let's get started. I will be letting people in from the lobby, so there may be some pinging, but I'll try to keep on top of that, and I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Perfect. So thank you to the students and to the alumni that are joining us this afternoon, kind of for our lunch hour workshop. I hope you are able to eat your lunch while you are listening. But with that being said, I feel like this is going to be a resource-packed presentation, and so you might want to take some notes while you're eating lunch. And with that being said, Laura and I love conversation. So at the end, we will have a time for Q&A and open conversation. And throughout the presentation, we do want to be answering your questions. So please feel free to put your, thoughts, your questions, any comments that you have in the chat as we go along. And we will do our best to acknowledge that as we go through. So with that being said, we are here to talk about navigating your job search during a pandemic. And with that being said, some of the typical ways that you might think about approaching a job search might be similar. But that being said, there's definitely a shift in the labor market and the way that we job search. And so today we are going to talk you through some of the top resources to approach your job search and how some of those things might be similar, how some of those things might be different. And Laura and I have narrowed down to what we believe to be some of the top resources and top job searching strategies that will help you throughout this time. So a little bit about what we are going to go through today is job search websites, which ones are, maybe most popular, most up to date, that are most current in terms of using right now, your LinkedIn profile, some new programs, TalentEgg and TalentExchange that you might not be familiar with, how networking is truly just as valuable in terms of job searching, whether it be online or in person, and then informational interviews and how that can help throughout your job search. So to get us started with a question this morning, I would like you all to put in the chat, what are some of the challenges that individuals face when conducting an online job search? So you yourself might be job searching right now, or, you might be thinking about finding a summer job this year, or that job searching is going to be something that you'll be approaching within the next couple months. I feel like we're all probably maybe at different phases of our job search right now. So just put in the chat, what are some of the challenges that we're facing job searching online right now? Lauren says, finding motivation to start the process during this time. Yeah, absolutely. That is a really good one to start off. I think a lot of, maybe our experiences and our attitudes and our motivation have, maybe decreased a little bit over this last little while. So how do we keep up that motivation? And hopefully we'll have some fresh resources that will help kind of re-motivate you today. finding the perfect fit that you're interested in because you don't know a lot about it. That's great. Thank you for putting that in the chat. Laura is going to start us off actually in the next couple slides talking about, just getting started and how getting started, is the most important part, and how that kind of translates into talking about skills and different fields. So maybe just continue to put your thoughts and challenges in the chat on this topic. And then Laura is going to switch over to some of the next slides to get us started. And maybe I'll just read off these last two comments quickly as they come in. I find that showing my personality and soft skills is challenging through online job searching. Yeah, I can identify with that. Absolutely. Very few options for job offers. Same results come up every time when doing a search. Perhaps you need more resources. So for sure, hopefully we'll be able to share some more resources today, but also recognizing, yeah, they might not be updated as often because it is competitive. Knowing what keywords to use when searching. Oh, hang on, I just switched screens here. Feeling like you don't meet the qualifications perfectly. So thank you. I appreciate you all sharing that. And those are absolutely valid challenges. And we're going to touch on those a little bit as we go through. So Laura, I will switch it over to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for putting your thoughts in the chat there. And that's exactly where we're going to get started. We're going to think about what our challenges are and really focus on ourselves here to get started on this process. So how I'd like to begin is with a very brief introduction of the core concept for us in navigating your career journey, and that's our career development model. Now, if you're a current student or a recent graduate, you may be familiar with this concept, but I just wanted to briefly touch on it and highlight the 4 different stages that we see as really important in your job search, in your career journey. So know yourself, discover possibilities, experience more, and activate your plan. And today we're going to start with the know yourself part. And that's something that will really help you begin this process of thinking maybe if you're starting to conduct your job search, to do some research, to really figure out what it is that you're interested in and where to go from there. So what I mean by know yourself sounds like probably the easiest part of the career search, the journey process, but it's actually one of the more challenging because you really have to ask yourself some difficult questions, starting with, okay, what are some things that I'm good at? Or maybe what are the challenges that I have? Or what are my knowledge gaps or experience gaps? What's important to me? What are the world's problems that exist out there that I feel passionate enough to try to solve? Or what do I like to do? What kind of activities do I enjoy? What do I like to learn about? What experiences have I had in my past that I really enjoyed? Or what experiences haven't been as meaningful? And really focusing on those key questions and honestly asking yourself, what am I good at? What do I like to do? What am I interested in? And where can I see myself focusing the beginning part of my career journey? And another big part of knowing yourself, a really big key part when you're looking to connect it to your career journey, as a couple of you mentioned in the chat, I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know how to convey my soft skills or core skills to an employer. What are some key words I can look for? That starts with knowing your skills. So we recommend always being introspective and reflective and really thinking about the things that you're good at in a meaningful way, and maybe connecting experiences that you've had to the skills that you've developed. We also have a set of 10 broad competencies that will get you started in that process of thinking about what you've learned as a university student, what you've learned in your career thus far, and how you can connect those things to your next steps. So, for example, if you're thinking, okay, I'm really good at communicating, I can communicate effectively. A good place to start to really know yourself and your skill set is to think, okay, what does that mean? What does communicating effectively actually mean? And that's where you can start to think about the different ways that you've communicated, the different types of communication that employers are looking for, or that's really important in your field of study, or your prospective career, or what you're doing right now. Communication includes things like confidence, being empathetic, active listening, not just oral and written communication, but what does that really mean? And what can that mean for your job search? What can that mean for aligning yourself to a job posting and making yourself the best candidate possible for your dream job? So once you've got an idea of what you're good at, what you feel passionate about, and what some of your core skills are, there's some resources that can help you take that piece of information, that reflection, to the next level. And these resources are all available to both current students and Brock alum via Career Zone. So you can see at the bottom there on the screen, careerzone.brocku.ca. But Career Cruising, Talent Today, and Tight Focus are
70117.
I think we've got someone off mute at the moment, so if we could just be mindful of that. Wonderful. Okay, I'll keep going. So having a look at Career Zone at some of the resources that exist. If some of you were in high school in Ontario in the last probably 15 years, you may be familiar with career cruising, and that's something that we use to really get the conversation started early, taking little assessments online that are available via Career Zone to help you really hone and clarify elements of your personality, the interests that you have, what you're good at, what is important to you, and what your values are. And it'll help align those things that you've started to explore when you're thinking about your skills and what you're interested in. It will align those things to occupations that also share some of the similar aspects that you've identified and what could be a good fit. And then that'll give you a start and some keywords and perhaps some occupations to look into if you're in a place where you're not really sure where you want to go next and you just want to do something that's meaningful to you, or you want to learn more about your skill set, about your interests, or about different career options. So make sure to visit Career Zone under Student Resources, Explore Careers, and Career Assessments, and we'll talk about Career Zone again a little bit later as well. Now we're here today virtually and not in person for one big reason, but that's one thing that we're talking about today: how to market yourself, how to start the job search process, how to navigate your career journey, maybe from a virtual online lens, knowing that there are some things that are not currently easy or available to your average job seeker. So what we're encouraging you today, when you're thinking about understanding who you are, what you're good at, and thinking about how to market yourself, there are some key steps that you can take that are applicable both online and in person. And there's some really interesting technology that is amazing to leverage right now in a virtual world that you can get familiar with over the course of this presentation and afterward. So some key tips to think about when you're beginning to market yourself in your industry or into a different career. Understand the labor market. Do a bit of research. Once you figure out some things that you're interested in, look online. There's so many resources available to you to learn more about the industry that you're interested in, what the job prospects are like, maybe average salaries, where these jobs are located. Also think about yourself in the eyes of the employer. What value can you bring to your prospective employer? What value can you introduce to an industry that you're interested in based on these skills and experience you already have? Maybe take an opportunity as well to discover ways that you can increase your skill level to make yourself an outstanding candidate. So consider ways that you can experience more, that you can communicate with people, that you can take online courses or webinars or perhaps an online class to help develop the current skills that you have. And of course, demonstrating your adaptability. So thinking about the current situation that we're all in, the remote skills climate, how can you demonstrate resiliency and adaptability when you're looking to take the next step in your career, when you're looking to connect your skills maybe to a virtual setting or an online platform? And there are so many ways that you can leverage that. There's video technology, there are communication platforms that are new and emerging or very important right now. And of course, there are online sharing platforms that you can do as well. So to start this conversation, I'm going to pass it over to Brianna, and we're going to talk a bit about how we can start that job search remotely online.
Thank you. So with that being said, yes, we're going to talk about how informational interviews and networking and, lots of actual programs help with your job search. But you know what? A lot of people come into their job search and say, it's been a couple years since I've had to search, and I don't really know, what job search websites are the most up to date, that are the most recent, that are most popular or recommended. And so we are just going to start with that today. So if I can, yep, perfect. So that being said, where to look for active postings. And I just wanted to provide you with this list so that you would have some of the most concrete ones that I recommend to students throughout my appointments. So we have Career Zone, and this is on the Career Zone website. The great thing about our Career Zone job board is that it is specifically postings from employers who are community partners and stakeholders with Brock. And the great thing is that they are looking for Brock students and or Brock alumni or recent graduates. So it might not always be the biggest job board, but it is definitely one that is updated on a very regular basis. And there are other members of our team whose job it is to work with the employers and to source out those postings. We have Indeed, and that one is probably fairly familiar to you, as is the government job bank, so I won't spend much time on those. We have Talentegg, and Talentegg is a brand new program for students and recent graduates that we're actually going to talk a little bit more about within some of the next few sections. We have LinkedIn, and while this, yes, is a professional networking platform, you may or may not know that it also has a diverse job board on there, which is great. So I definitely recommend that you take advantage of the job board feature on LinkedIn. And as we're going to talk a little bit more about the LinkedIn section of this presentation, what other ways you can go about finding job leads on LinkedIn. There's Charity Village. I personally love this one, and not only does it have paid positions, but it has volunteer opportunities and remote opportunities that are specific to non-for-profit organizations. We have the Niagara Workforce Planning Board. So with that being said, we recognize that some of you are from, all over Ontario and out of province. This one is specifically for Niagara region, but the great thing is that they are a newly launched website that pretty much takes every available opportunity that's in Niagara at one time and puts it into one place. So instead of maybe going to LinkedIn and Indeed and all of these community job boards, you can just kind of find it on that website. And then we have community employment centers. So what I mean by this, I'm sure you may have read Lauren's comment in the chat, and as she mentioned, definitely checking out the YMCA, and or other community employment centers. So I know here in Niagara, we have Job Gym, where I used to work. There's Employment Solutions, there's SURF. There's a wide variety of them, and they are all across Ontario and in Canada. There's probably just different names out of province. But the great thing is that you can go to these places and work one-on-one with an employment counselor who will help you with your resume, help you with your job searching, help you with your interview skills. And yes, depending on your eligibility, they do have some programs that they run for different age groups where you might be able to, be paid or get certain certificates. So there's definitely that option as well. In terms of, employment counseling, resume, interview, job searching help, you're welcome to go to your local community office, but that is something that you can also access through myself and my team through the Career Zone website. And we will give you more information, all that technical stuff on Career Zone at the end, but there are more job search website listings there as well. So yes, so this next slide talks about utilizing your job search websites. So here's the thing, I believe someone earlier when we were talking about challenges said, typing in keywords and knowing what keywords to look for. When using a job search website, we want to make sure that you are using keywords in your search to help target certain industries. So for example, if you're interested in human resources, don't just type in human resources, but also make sure that you are typing in similar roles, similar job titles or duties that also fit into that title. So for example, recruitment specialist and talent acquisition are also popular titles that can go along with human resources. And some job sites are a little bit funny in that if you type in human resources, nothing is going to come up under talent acquisition or recruitment specialist. And if you type in talent acquisition, nothing's going to come up under human resources. So that's why it's important to use those keywords, be creative with different job titles and different responsibilities that are similar between positions, because that's how you will get a wider variety of options and leads that come up for you. And that being said, especially on Indeed and some of these job sites that are so big and so diverse amongst many industries, it's really important that you are narrowing down the cities and the dates in which jobs were posted, because that's also going to help narrow down, jobs that are specific to, Niagara versus Hamilton, and showing that the dates or narrowing down by that option will always bring up what has been posted most recently, so that you're not applying to something that was, say, posted a month ago. Alrighty, so I believe the next slide, yes, so we have another question that we would love to pose to you, and I would encourage you to type it in the chat. So how can you use social media as a job search tool? This is kind of a transitional question as we move in to the next section of our presentation, but also to get you thinking, yes, while I just said LinkedIn has a job board, what are some other ways that you can use social media to benefit your job search? So think about that, put that in the chat, and Laura is going to go over our next section with us.
Wonderful. Yes. Put your ideas in the chat, and maybe it'll give some ideas to your colleagues here who maybe you didn't think about other ways to use non-LinkedIn platforms of social media as part of your job search, and also just to do a little bit of brainstorming. So love to hear what you come up with. Okay. So I'm going to start with LinkedIn because that's the most obvious social media platform in the job search process, as that is essentially why it was created, to help professionals network remotely. And this has been one of the most valuable resources for me and the students that I work with over the past several months during this pandemic, because it's a very robust platform that has existed for many years, that is being constantly updated and improved, and continues to demonstrate great career connections and career advancement. So I'm going to get into a little bit of some of the neat features of LinkedIn if you're not super familiar with it. If you are, I'm sure you could, you're an expert and you can answer any questions that come up in the chat, but just a couple of the features that we may not think about when we're just considering LinkedIn as a networking tool. So first here, as you can see along the top corner there of the screen, I've selected jobs. So there is actually a job section on LinkedIn, the LinkedIn job board, as Brianna mentioned. And this is a great place to really put to practice the keywords and the list of skills and all of those things that you've been generating up until this point in the process. So you can search for jobs by location or also by job title. And as Brianna mentioned, make sure to search lots of different versions of the title, lots of different variations. You can also look up different jobs by skills or skill sets, or by company. If you're interested in working for a specific company, you can look it up that way, and LinkedIn will show you the open positions available at that particular company. Another great benefit of actually completing your LinkedIn profile is what the program will do is it will recommend jobs for you that have come up, as you can see along the bottom there. If you have a completed profile and if you engage with the platform, they're able to generate really exciting and relevant job postings that come up, and you'll get an email in your inbox saying, hey, this job looks like it may be for you. So you can actually, by filling in your profile, by engaging with the platform, LinkedIn can do some of that work for you without you having to be checking the platform every day, which we do recommend if you're in your job search. Check back regularly, check back on all of the different sites and platforms. But this is a really neat element of LinkedIn's program. And as members of the Brock alum community, or soon to be with some of our current students here, you also have access to thousands of former Brock students who are in various stages of their career. And LinkedIn provides a great opportunity for you to begin to network with them and to learn from other members of this community. So on the left-hand side of my screen, you can see there's an alumni tab on the Brock University LinkedIn site. So if you can simply search Brock University, they have their own page on LinkedIn. You can check out the alumni, and you can see a lot of different things from this. And one of the most exciting pieces that I've seen, at least recently, is often alum will post available jobs in their workplace. So if I had a job that was being posted in my department here at Brock, I might post that on LinkedIn. So the people who are connected with me will see that, perhaps before it's found or it shows up on another one of the job aggregators like Indeed. Finding a personal connection to that employer and someone you can connect with if you have questions or want to follow up about the opportunity. So like I said, enter Brock University in the search bar and look at the alumni page. And you can use the various search filters to narrow down to people who are maybe in the program that you're in or graduated from that program, or specific job types, employers, interests, that kind of thing. It's really intuitive in the way that it will connect you with people who share similar interests, similar experiences that you may want to connect with. You can also get an idea of a little bit more of the alumni profile from Brock on LinkedIn. You can look at where people live, where they work, what they do for a living, what companies they work for, what positions that they've had. And from here, you can click on someone's profile and learn more about them. You can learn about their past work experience. You can learn about what clubs and activities they participated in at Brock. You can find that common connection. And then that will allow you to really start to think about a meaningful connection that you can make with them. Craft a message of introduction. I'd like to talk to you about. I'm really interested in what you're doing. And I'll get into that in a moment. But this is a great place where you can learn more about people in a professional way based on the connections that you had from Brock, from the clubs that you were in, from the sports you played on, etc. And you can see here, again, the more people you connect with, the more recommendations you're going to get from LinkedIn. And you can see along the bottom here, some folks connected to Brock University. And you can see that this sample page has multiple shared connections with these individuals. And you'll notice as you start to really engage with LinkedIn and start to connect with people, especially in a context like the alumni page with shared connections, you're going to get introduced to a lot of people that you may not have ordinarily been introduced to without accessing a platform like this. So I briefly mentioned the benefit of really coming up with a well thought out, unique, personable introduction on LinkedIn. And I will say that I get a lot of invitations, and if I don't have context for why the person's connecting with me, I struggle to place them and figure out, okay, what can I help them with? What's the reason that they're connecting with me? So we definitely recommend a personal message along with the connection on LinkedIn that tells the person why you want to connect with them, because people genuinely do want to help, and they're often not able to help if they don't know how they can help you, and they may ignore your connection, or they maybe even decline your connection because they don't know who you are. So here are a couple of sort of sample fill in the blank versions of a good LinkedIn connection. Hello, the person's name. I see that you also attended this event or this school or this workshop or program. It's inspiring to see alumni making their mark. And then describe a bit about yourself. I'm a history major and I would love to learn more about your work with the Niagara Workforce Planning Board or wherever they happen to work. Make sure to include a bit about you, a bit about why you want to connect with them, and that will open the door for further conversation and it'll make them much more likely to reply. So moving on to our next piece of exciting new technological development, I'm going to pass the mic back to Brianna to talk a bit about Talentegg and TalentExchange.
Perfect, thank you. So these are two great programs that we wanted to put out there to our Brock students and alumni, just because they can really help benefit your job search. So we're going to talk about Talentegg first. Now, Talentegg has been around for a little while, but it's really just starting to become much more popular and well used by different universities and employers. So again, these programs are a little bit more geared towards current students and recent graduates. However, that being said, alumni, if you've been out of school for a little while and you're still job searching, don't worry, we have more coming for you after these slides. So what is Talentegg? So this is a job search website or system where you can come and create a profile that showcases your resume and your skills, and you actually make a brief introduction video. So instead of, having like a typical cover letter on this site, what you're going to do is, kind of get dressed up with your blazer and interview gear on, and you're just going to do a quick introduction of, hello, my name is Brianna, this is my program, this is what I'm passionate about, here's some of my skills, and this is what I'm looking for. So the great thing is that you can then source out job leads and take a look at the active job board, but then employers who are knowingly wanting to hire and give opportunities to students and recent grads can type in certain skills or certain experiences that they're looking for in a candidate, and then the profiles and intro videos will come up so that they can source out their candidates as well. So active job leads are listed. There's actually training opportunities on this website. They'll post about lots of, webinars and little online certificates that are happening. There's career guides to help you, navigate, your interests in careers and what's available to you, and industry directories so that you can search a certain marketing firms within the GTA, and you can kind of narrow down your search that way. So anyways, this is a great platform that lots of students are getting recently involved with. If we switch to the next slide, again, I think it's just kind of a little bit of a reiteration, but their website link or the talentegg.ca is the link that you can go to. And as it says, just upload your resume, record a short video introduction about yourself to show potential employers. Once your profile is complete, you'll be visible to employers looking for top candidates. So that's a great one. I encourage you to look into it. And secondarily, we have TalentExchange. So this was a great program that has been developed throughout the time of COVID through the Brock's co-op, career, and experiential team to connect students with a wide network of employers currently hiring across Canada. So that being said, you as a Brock graduating student can sign up for this program. You create and build your profile, and we have a team of career professionals that are on the other end of your profile who will connect with you, and they will help you with your resume, cover letter, interview skills, do a little bit of basic job training with you, and then they actively work with you kind of as a job developer to help connect you to the employers that are actively searching. So it's a little bit more of an active partnership that you are taking part in. So this is a great program that has been developed and is still, actively growing and having success. So if that profile kind of fits you, I encourage you to look into that. I'm not sure if there was an extra slide on that one or not. So anyways, with that being said, I'm going to hand it back to Laura, who's going to touch base about how networking can help in your job search.
Wonderful. Now, I know networking is a word that everybody hears when they say, oh, okay, what's the next best step I can take? You got to network. You got to network. And I know, speaking on behalf of all the introverts out there, it is challenging. It can be very challenging. So we're going to talk a little bit about the benefit of networking, but also the benefit of virtual networking and how that can kind of bridge the gap between really good set of resume and cover letter and the discomfort maybe we feel in in-person networking situations. So if you have any thoughts about networking or questions or concerns or maybe tips, we'd love to see that in the chat, and we can bring some of that up a little bit later as well. Share with the group what your thoughts are about networking, and I'll give you a little bit of a brief introduction and really why we think it's beneficial. So have a look at this pyramid here on the slide. Now I'm going to draw your attention to the very bottom part to start out with. So we're looking here at one of the various ways that job seekers look for job opportunities. So probably the biggest, most widely used part of that is the job aggregators like Indeed or Monster or any of those other websites. We have thousands upon thousands of people looking at those postings, putting their resumes through that platform, applying that way. And most people are on there. Most positions are on there as well. But the market on these job aggregators tends to be a little oversaturated. My biggest worry about online job searching is, will a human being ever see my application package? And it's really hard, if not impossible, to tell when you are looking to submit by hitting the apply button on one of those bigger sites. Moving up the pyramid, job posting boards and social media. So we talked about someone very thoughtfully put in the chat, follow companies that you're interested in on social media because they often share job postings maybe before they go up or broadly to their follower base. So you may get access to some of these really interesting job postings and a lot of the content from their business that will help you align your skills and interests to what they're looking for. You're clearly a fan of what they do. You can learn more about the company that way, and you might get early access to some of this information. Similar to job posting boards, there are a lot of different types of job posting boards that are maybe a local or regional focus or industry focus. Being part of those boards, checking them regularly, is a good way to kind of step up that search and maybe get yourself into a smaller pool of candidates. Moving up, we have the company or organization career website. So if you wanted to work specifically at Brock University, you perhaps looked right away to Brock's job board. So the only postings you're going to see there are postings for Brock. And while those postings are also on a job aggregator or Indeed, again, it's a more narrow focus, a smaller applicant pool directly through that website. Now, towards the top of the pyramid, we see people increasing their chances of success in their job search through referral, through a network, a professional network, or an employee. So why that's circled here is it really highlights the benefit of networking from probably the least likely for success, just using a job aggregator at the bottom, to working your way up that pyramid and trying to connect with people in the industry that you're interested in or in the company. That way, if they think that you're a great fit for the job that's been posted at that organization, they can put in a good word with the hiring committee and say, you know what, I have this person in my network. These are their skills. I really think they'd make a good fit. That word of mouth referral, that formal referral process through a company is invaluable, and it really dramatically increases your chances of success. So while networking can be sometimes uncomfortable and make us feel a little vulnerable and awkward, it is so valuable when you have a direct connection to an industry or an employer that you're looking to work for. And of course, internal candidates at the very top do, in some organizations, tend to be more successful as they are a tested entity. They are someone that the company is aware of, knows their skill set, has direct communication perhaps with their manager or their supervisor. But we're going to focus here today when we talk about networking is a way to get you into that top section of that pyramid, to get a direct referral, to get a connection into the industry or into the company that you're interested in working with. So you may have heard this as well. The hidden job market is a phrase that's floated around a lot, especially in Niagara, because Niagara is predominantly small to medium-sized businesses. But you can see here on this chart that in all of the available postings, all of the availability in the job market, about 20% of those positions are actually posted in external facing platforms. So back to this pyramid here, on Indeed, or perhaps on a big social media platform, or on a job posting or a job board, or maybe even on the company website. But looking here, 20% of all those positions are widely recruited. The hidden job market accounts for almost 80% of the job opportunities in a lot of places, Niagara included. This means that sometimes the jobs are not publicly advertised, that companies look for only for referrals. This also means that if you are able to tap into this hidden job market through networking, you'll face less or maybe even no competition for these jobs. The applicant pool will go from thousands of people from Indeed to maybe 2 or 3 people from internal referrals. And that will bring you up that pyramid of success and have a far greater chance of landing that position if you're able to not only take advantage of the wide breadth of technological resources like Indeed, like Monster, like aggregators, but to also get in maybe through LinkedIn, maybe through professional networks, to connect with people, to get to know people professionally, and position yourself to be one of those candidates who is successful through a referral. So because we're networking almost exclusively online, we're going to share a few online networking tips that you can take advantage of now from the situation that we're in. The best time to start networking was probably yesterday, but starting early, starting now, starting tomorrow is the best time possible to begin online networking. Diversify your search. So you may be interested in one specific job title, but consider what Brianna mentioned before, that not all companies title their employees or positions in the same way. Also consider what your skills are and what you're interested in, and consider that in maybe a broader way than just, okay, I am good at communication, therefore I need to be working as in public relations. What else can communication do for you? What else can your communication skills and your interest in sharing your knowledge with the world, what else can that mean for you? And that's a good opportunity too, to do some self-reflection and to do some research. What can I do with all the skills that I have that maybe isn't exactly what I thought? Get involved and participate in professional associations related to either your education or your current position or the positions that you're interested in or the industries that you're interested in. A lot of them do have local or provincial or even national associations that you can stay informed with industry trends and connect with people. Make communication in a professional setting personal. Don't just add everybody that you see on LinkedIn. Connect with each person individually, because those are the people that are more likely to be able to help you, to be willing to help you, and that you'll be able to form a relationship with that may lead to a possible referral or an introduction, or someone sharing a job posting that may not be posted anywhere else. Keep in mind when you're networking as well, it's not just about what you can get from the individual, but also what you can give them. You providing your expertise in your field, with your education, with your skill set, is also very valuable to the people that you're trying to connect with on LinkedIn or in any other form of networking. And keep in mind your role as a current Brock student or as a recent graduate or as Brock alum, that can provide a lot of meaningful connection to others on the internet, on LinkedIn, in your job search. So keep in mind, you're not just asking for what you want, but opening up the conversation to learn from them, to share with them as well. And of course, practice using this technology. One of the great ways that I've been able to help recent graduates lately is to have one-on-one career chats with them on video, on Microsoft Teams, to help people get comfortable with talking to somebody on a video platform. It's not at all like a traditional interview, and it's something that doesn't come easy to many people, particularly people maybe at the midpoint in their career who have never even considered a virtual interview as a possibility until right now. And of course, understanding how different technology works on different types of devices. LinkedIn works differently on the mobile app than it does on the desktop, and just learning the different functionalities of these platforms, particularly as you're preparing for the next concrete steps, like an interview or like a networking session. There are many opportunities to connect with people and to network, both in person and online, predominantly at the moment online, but there are a lot of events and other similar types of activities that have transitioned into an online platform. So there are job fairs that exist online all the time. There are employer-led information sessions conducted online. There are career nights, there are webinars, there are talks by industry experts. There are also opportunities to connect with the professional associations and to develop your knowledge in a specific industry. You can attend online conferences and webinars, do courses, and attend Chamber of Commerce events. And of course, you can start right where you are right now with your cell phone, with your laptop, by engaging with people of interest on social media, asking for informational interviews from people whose careers you admire, and also connecting with people who currently exist in your network and seeing if they have people they can introduce you to as well to continue that learning and development. And we're going to get a bit into informational interviews here as well. So again, I'll pass the floor back to Brianna for that.
Perfect, thank you. And I'm not going to spend too much time on informational interviews because we do want to leave a good chunk of time at the end, or at least a few minutes for some questions and conversation. But with that being said, an informational interview is where you just get to talk to any other person, really, who is in their career or at a different place in their career journey than you are, and you just share information with each other, and you have the opportunity to ask them some questions. And it's essentially networking, yes, but I'm just going to go through a couple extra steps that make the informational interviews unique. So oftentimes, for example, back in last fall, so September, October, I made the decision that I really wanted to pursue my career in post-secondary and wanted to change positions. So with that being said, I reached out to the few people that I knew at Brock and Niagara College and just started asking them questions. And I did have some virtual meetings, I did have some in-person coffee meetings, but it was really just to help identify, jobs and industries and, areas of interest within post-secondary that stood out to me. And, maybe you are a student who is trying to decide this career or that career. Well, talk to a variety of different professionals in different careers to get their perspectives and insights on their jobs. You can ask existing networks for recommendations, so people that you already know, or maybe you can reach out and connect with new people on LinkedIn as well. You can connect and request for a 20 or 30-minute conversation. People, I was in a job fair a couple weeks ago, and this manager was saying that she will never turn anyone down for an informational interview, because at one point she was that eager student who was asking for help and asking for information. And, depending on whether we are currently working or job searching, we have all been in that place before. So ask people to do informational interviews. They'll rarely say no. And honestly, people love to talk about themselves and their jobs and their interests. So it's not hard to fill a 20 or 30-minute conversation. And you know what? For those of you, the great thing, that live out of Ontario or out of region, now is the time to be reaching out to people that live in other areas of Canada or outside of your region, because everything is virtual. So you can prepare and ask thoughtful questions and request referrals about their job and about entering into their industry. And just make sure that you follow up with a thank you email or a card, whatever you feel is appropriate. If we go to the next slide, it's just truly some benefits about why you should really take advantage of informational interviews. Because it initiates a professional relationship and it expands your network of contacts within a specific career field. And the people that you meet may forward you job leads in the future, because they're going to remember, hey, I met with that really eager Brock student or alumni, and I think they were interested, in this area, or we now have an opening at our workplace when maybe they didn't before when you talked to them. Again, as mentioned, it helps you access the hidden job market, and you can obtain or request different referrals. So with that being said, we do have more information on informational interviews. So if you go to Career Zone, the student resources page, interview prep, then you can look for our resource on informational interviews. So I just want to wrap up as well and talk quickly about 10,000 Coffees. So this is the official networking platform that Brock has for its students and alumni. How it works is that it's a more direct way for you to get in touch and build connections with alumni from your faculty over a virtual coffee or tea or just email conversation. So you as a student or alumni, or if you just go to the next page, you will create a profile, choose your interests, and then that being said, you will be matched with someone who has similar interests as you, or is selected based on what you're looking for or who you would like to talk to. And then once a month, the generator will virtually pair you with someone. So the great thing is that every month you'll get someone new that you can then exchange an email hello with. Maybe you do set up a virtual meeting with that person, or maybe, you just have a short email conversation. And so it just allows you to connect with new people, to connect with people that are at a different place in their career journey than you, maybe people that are a little bit more, advanced or have some advice to offer. And you're talking with someone who has been a part of the Brock community and already has, kind of a similar foundation or interests as you do. So yes, in a nutshell, it is a networking platform, but as a result of the networking and connecting each month, you can set up those informational interviews. So if you go to the Career Zone, explore careers, I believe it is under that tab. However, you can also just type in Brock 10,000 Coffees and you will come to that page as well.
So we've thrown a lot of information at you today, and there's a lot of things that may have been new or may have been something that's familiar to you. So we'd like to just close the session today by asking you to fill in the chat or maybe pop off of mute and share what is one of the things that you've taken away from this session, or what's one of the concrete steps that you're going to take once we hang up today and once you get some lunch. And I will leave the chat open here for that. I know, being respectful of time, I want to just advance really quickly to our final slides, reminding us of the resources, but please share your thoughts in the chat with us, and we'll certainly address those as well. So as we close today, these are 4 things that we'd like you to consider with all of this information that we've given you. Be okay with adjusting your expectations. This is a very challenging time, and the workforce, the labor market, industries, everybody has sort of been turned on their ear, and expectations may not meet reality a lot of the time. So be flexible, be okay that you may have to realign your expectations with the realities that we are facing that change every day. Set daily and weekly goals. Set SMART goals, something that's maybe small and attainable that you can achieve and move forward, and set larger or more ambitious goals. Maybe don't focus on, I'm going to get my dream job, because that's going to take a lot of steps, a lot of work, and a lot of time. So start by setting something that you'd like to accomplish every day. I'd like to visit a job board and do some research every day. I'd like to apply for a job every week. Track your job search. It sometimes takes a long time, and a lot of information needs to be processed, especially when you're connecting with people and when you're networking. So what I suggest, I create a spreadsheet when I'm doing a job search, just to fill out what I've done, where I've looked, the things I've considered, and that also may generate some new ideas and some new avenues for you to go down. It'll also keep track of who you've connected with and make sure that you can identify some of the gaps maybe in your search strategies. And of course, time management and balance. Those are 2 things that are so important, especially right now when all of our lives are focused staring at our computer screen. So make sure to block off some time to really meaningfully engage with your job search, but also acknowledge that you have a life, you have a lot of other responsibilities and concerns. So make sure that you balance that with other aspects of your life, and be compassionate along with being flexible with your expectations. Also show yourself some compassion and take a step back from the process when it starts to feel overwhelming. And of course, if you ever have any questions or are looking for any resources to continue this conversation, please feel free to visit careerzone.brocu.ca. You can visit the student resources section to get a lot of information about the topics that we've discussed today. You can look at the job postings, sign up for more online workshops or career-related events. For current students, you can book appointments, and for alum within a year of graduation, you can also book appointments, but you can also use all of the virtual resources here on Career Zone indefinitely once you set up your alumni profile. Some of those resources, as Brianna and I have alluded to, are job search websites, resources about writing cover letter and resume, how to prepare for an interview, different ways to incorporate social media and personal branding into your job search. If you're looking to go the academic route, CV and statement of intent, resources as well, and a lot of other things of that nature. So we'd love to close our section here. If there are any questions that have not already been answered in the chat, or you'd like to pop off mute or on video and ask a question, please feel free to do so now.
Just to approach, oh, Terry, did you want to say something first? I saw you unmuted yourself quickly.
I was just preparing. If you want to, I was going to wrap up, but you go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to answer those 2 questions that are in the chat first. So first of all, does Brock offer LinkedIn Learning? So I believe there is actually a code at one point students could access those like specialized LinkedIn Learnings for. I don't think we have access to that at the moment. However, what we do is help students build their LinkedIn profiles, and we do have a variety of websites that offer, certificates, online learning, free options to upgrade skills. So definitely send us an email and we can can connect with you on that. But that being said, LinkedIn is also a great place to resource other training opportunities. As for Lauren's question, what are some examples of unreliable job search websites? I am not necessarily going to go forward with like naming some, because you know what, at the same time, like there are tons out there. There are lots and lots of job search websites, and it's not that they're necessarily bad, but it's just some of them don't get updated as recently. Some of them are not maybe new and as advanced as some of the ones that we have messaged or talked about. And some of them are really just kind of like that third party that's taking postings from other places without being the actual source that has posted the job. So I always just tell people, like, you know what, use your discretion, but if you have any questions about like the legitimacy of any postings, you can definitely come and ask us questions.
Thank you both. That was amazing. There are a few things are going through my mind. If I could contribute, be so bold as to offer, but in my position, or I've been fortunate, I'm a hiring manager. I hire people all the time. So I just wanted to reinforce, well, not all the time. I'm giving the impression that we have tons of jobs available, which we don't. But to your earlier point about informational interviews, I never refuse one for the exact same reason that the woman that you gave the example, and especially if you're a student or you're a graduate and you reach out, I will always have a conversation with someone who's interested in learning. And the one thing from a hiring manager perspective that I know this was kind of about finding the opportunities, but for me, when interviewing people, what sets candidates apart is their interview prep. And especially if I don't know a candidate, what I'm looking for is not that you want a job, why you want this job. And I think if you research with that mindset, you might have more success in the interview room. And that, just a couple of observations. And lastly, thank you for the plug in 10,000 Coffees. That is a program that in Alumni Relations we're behind as well. And I'm on there. I've met with grads, I've met with students, and it's wonderful. Even if it's a 10-minute conversation, I highly recommend just signing up. And if it gets too much and you want to take a break from it, you can put it on pause for a few months and then join back up when your schedule allows. So I would encourage that. But this we're rounding the 1 o'clock hour, and we promised that we'd get people back to their lives. So thank you, Brianna and Laura, for the very. I learned a lot today. Just when I think I've got it all figured out. Nope, there's still more. And it's nice to know that Brock has a ton of resources available for both students and alumni. So thank you. Any final words? I'll give you the control to end it.
I am just putting my email in the chat because, as I mentioned, one of the great opportunities that I have in my position is to meet with students, and we have conversations about all things resumes and cover letters and job searching and how to dissect postings and, you know, how to navigate interviews and when to submit a cover letter, you know, if it says to or not to, and all of those kinds of questions. So that being said, I'm just putting my email again in the chat here for anyone who might be interested in continuing these conversations. And for those who are wondering, yes, this is recorded. We will be emailing it over to the alumni team shortly, and I believe it gets posted, and or we will make sure you get a copy if you reach out to us.
Correct.
Alrighty. Otherwise, I think that is it for me. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us and spending your lunch hour with us today.
Yes, and thank you to Brock Alumni for connecting us with all of you wonderful people. We look forward to seeing you again soon.